curious. I was listening to some of your music, the Discreet Machine stuff, over the last few weeks, and I wondered.
Good man.
I say that down, but I can't.
You and about 7 other people.
Yeah. No, but I really like it. You know, I like what it's doing. I like how it sounds. I like the ideas and the thoughts behind it. I like the introduction. But I wondered why you chose to demark it away from A Man Called Adam and call it something else, because to me it seems very much, knowing your music from A Man Called Adam and knowing a little bit about your studies, it seems to me like a really obvious progression.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad you sort of got something out of listening to it. I think the problem is that maybe the people here and yourself, you know, you've kind of matured as we have, and you might have the appetite for that. But, you know, I think we put one much more experimental record out as A Man Called Adam, and I think we had one review on iTunes that said something like, "What is this weird piano shit?" or something.
Shit sandwich.
And yeah, it was, and people have a, you know, and I love it, but people have a great affection for certain tracks that A Man Called Adam made. Sorry, I just talked about myself in the third person.
That's all right.
I hate that. Some of the tracks we made as A Man Called Adam. And what you know, there's a different audience. It's really pop music. It is pop music. And if you call it A Man Called Adam, then they expect to. I think, no, that's not fair, is it? There's a lot of yourself and your emotional self in those records, and maybe that's what people connect to. And if you put something out that is more cerebral, I'm sorry, even that sounds disingenuous.
No, I didn't get cerebral. I mean, you know,
experimental.
Yeah. But I find it really emotional. I found that music really emotional.
Well, maybe you're. I don't know. We've always had this problem with that. You know, you make that music and it has a popular audience. You know, just people who only buy one record a year, a compilation, a Ibiza chill out compilation, and it has that audience. So they're not gonna, you know, be feeling Stockhausen's Cardigan instrumental or whatever, you know.
I like that.
So we've always had a bit of a problem with that. You know, there's been a couple of times where we've tried to ditch A Man Called Adam, you know,
really?
just ditch it, you know, just leave it behind, you know. But it always comes back to haunt you because no distributor will ever have you, no record label will ever have you. Everybody just wants that, you know. And so in the end, you just have to go, oh, fuck it, you know, I love it. You know, I'm not ashamed of anything.
It's a lovely albatross to have.
Yeah, it is a bit of a millstone around your neck, but there are worse things in life than having some records that people liked.
I think one of the things that came across from listening to the Discreet Machine stuff and listening to A Man Called Adam stuff, and then reading about how you fit in as artists with the other things that you've done. I am curious about the sound design things that you've done, because I mean, I guess you're not really that well known for the sound design.
No, again, that's that sort of trying to grow old gracefully sort of thing, you know, and we had some friends who were like a design museum interactives, you know, I think touch screen things and do fab jobs for museums, and they asked us to do some sound design from this was about 7 or 8 years ago, and you realise that the skills that you've developed over all those years of making records are completely transferable to this thing. You know, when they say, or you know, they did a thing for the British Museum and they said, you know, it's ancient Egypt and it's the Book of the Dead, and we want the bird song to be authentic, and and it's just a fab job. When somebody gives you a brief and they say, oh, we did a thing for a science museum in Japan, and it was all about robotic DNA and all sorts of medicine, and we went to the garage where we lived next door and recorded and all the drills and the axle grinders, and that it's enormous fun, but it's not that different from what you actually do. You're just not looking for a sort of banging club beat or a chill out sort of dub for it. It's the same thing without the beats. Really, and it's great fun, and we found that it's really the same thing. Even when we wrote a song, you'd always be looking for those sort of sonic atmospheres and how to convey the lyric.
And so, what was happening with I saw a film last year called River of Fundament, which was a 6-hour opera directed by Matthew Barney.
Oh, Matthew Barney.
That was based on the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Okay. There was a lot of defecation.
Yeah, I can't remember what was the thing with my.
Shit sandwich. Yeah.
It was shit sandwich. I can't remember what the Book of the Dead was. It was like episodes that they have to go through. Stages that they go through, and it's the Egyptians wrote in this kind of linear way, and so they thought in a linear way, and everything, and their architecture was like corridors. Everybody was going in a line.
And you interpret that.
Yeah. I mean, it was more like trying to find the sound of a duck that might have been alive in the Nile Delta 2,500 years ago, and sort of improvising on that. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, museum sound can be awful. You've all been to a museum where you go in and it's the Roman invasion, and it's like clang, 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 and it can be really intrusive because it's a really sort of powerful medium. So it's this fabulous exercise in self-restraint. It's like you put all this stuff in, and then you listen to it and you go, it's got to go, take that out, take that. It's like minimalism.
Wow, brilliant.
Max minimalism.
Yeah.
And you have the exhibits because people have got to look at the thing and feel it, and you're trying to enhance. It has a horrible phrase that they use, and it's called gallery enabling. And that's what we do.
What does that mean?
Basically, it was we make your gallery experience better. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Gallery enabling, but that's so it's a fabulous job to do because you've got to keep stopping yourself. Yeah. It's great. I love it.
Well, that really the stuff that you've told me about and that I read about you. You've been surrounded by sound. I mean, of course, we're all surrounded by sound all the time from pre-birth. But you had this amazing kind of upbringing, listening to the most deranged and bizarre stuff, which probably, probably wasn't that deranged.
It's probably no different from anybody else here, but my sister's here. You all know her, I think. We grew up in working men's clubs. Our mum and dad were the steward and stewardess most of the time of a British Legion club, and so our house was sort of divided by a single wall from the concert room, and when I was really little they had a band called George, Joyce and Albert, who were like a trio with bass drums and piano. I think there was a grand piano at first, though, wasn't there? And then they replaced that with a giant Hammond organ. Yeah. And so there was that sort of droning on through the wall all the time you were growing up.
Totally moulding your brain.
Yeah. So you wonder why I like bizarre, instrumental, muffly electronic music, yeah. And then after George Joyce and Albert inevitably, got the sack, replaced by technology. They had an 8-track, an 8-track cartridge machine, and we could go in. We had the best birthday parties and things because we had a concert room, and we used to go in and put the 8-track tape on. They had rubbish 8-tracks, just think like Charlie Pride or weird things. And then they always had artists, and they used to get changed in the hallway of our house, So you were sort of wandering around in your nightie, and there would be some guy in a white suit, and he would go into the club and sing "Hey Las Vegas," sort of muffled through the wall.
Brilliant.
Yellow River, Sweet Caroline. These
all
are
the greats.
Yeah, all the greats. They are actually great
Yeah,
songs.
it's playing actually in a couple of weeks, Neil Diamond.
Nowhere, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Working Men's Club.
And so, what was the progression from the Working Men's Club into music for you? How did that come about?
Well, I think I said in that thing I sent you that Jane and my elder brother Mark were both sort of vinyl junkies and music.
Jane was a face, wasn't she?
She was big face, yeah. She was because she was kind of gorgeous, and she was the first person in my hometown to have pink hair. She just went to the hairdresser and came back with pink hair.
I don't think we could. I think sometimes.
I think we can't understand
we don't get that
drama of that. No.
I was chatting to somebody a few days ago and talking about reading John Savage's England's Dreaming Book, which is an amazing book.
Is it good?
About how culturally we changed really, really quickly, and how just bonkers it was.
Well, she was, and there's nothing wrong with disco. I love disco, and I thank you for my education in that. It was all like Sylvester, Mighty Real, and then she was high gloss Farrah Fawcett hair with beautiful glossy lips,
totally
she was gorgeous. And then suddenly one day she was sort of, and they used to shout Rupert at her in the street because she was wearing a bondage trousers, and pink hair, and she, but Middlesbrough had an amazing club called the Rock Garden, and they had big, everybody played there. The Sex Pistols played there.
Did you see him?
I didn't. I was a bit young. She took me there, totally illegally, when I was about 13.
Of course, yeah.
And who did I see? I think I saw Generation X, Billy Idol. Yeah. And I remember him being sort of, fabulous, energetic force, But then I think I just snogged some lad for 7 hours until she came and got me. And took me home.
What an education!
So I didn't see that many people at the Rock Garden, but she did. It was a good club.